First of all, it's so good that it all went wrong because your whole chart is about heroically dealing with everything that goes wrong, said Saturn in Scorpio, right?
I guess you could say that for sure.
And that reframes everything. That's my specialty, reframe, reframe, reframe. And I love that behind Mr. Leo King is a whole set that has the look like you're going to be standing on that. Is that true? Is that where you do all your filming?
Yeah, this is the Leo King Studios. I've got like multiple sets all around this warehouse.
It's so appropriate for a double Leo to be sitting in the middle of his own Leo King set. So first of all, we've never met in person, but we've seen each other. How long has that been?
I was actually trying to say to somebody today, I saw your videos way back in the day, like 6-7 years, something like that. It's been a long time.
Did I make you laugh?
Oh yeah, no, I was like, oh, I love this girl. She knows exactly what's up. And one thing that I really appreciate about you, Debra, is because you really understand astrology on the layers and the depths of it all. So it's not just like the sun signs, but you really get how the sun signs and their sun house placements and their understanding of personalities through that. And you get it all. So it's beautiful to watch.
Well, I love watching you because you are an entertainment center and you're so raw. You're so authentic. It drives you a little crazy how authentic you are. You can't do anything halfway, can you?
No, it sucks. When you're born with that much fixed energy, it just is like, oh, okay.
Give it all you got.
Yeah.
So first thing I wanted to say was, welcome to the Star community. We have a platform, you probably know about this, where everyone gets to watch weekly and monthly where the moon is and when the eclipses are, speaking of which one is coming up, as you know well. And we're talking during Mars retrograde. Oopsie, it's going the wrong way. But I wanted to talk about Leos, and this is something I don't know if you know, are so shy, and you've got a 12th house sun. Does that show up for you?
Oh, well, yeah, especially when I was a young child, I would say. Leos are like really just shy unless they're around their like family and they're protected, but and they feel okay, then they let it out. But as the older I grew, the shyness went away once my progressed sun crossed my rising, but I also am a double Leo. So, I see normal Leos without maybe the rising in Leo. Yeah, there's a lot of shyness there.
It's shocking. They're only not shy when they have a role. So I could see in your chart that you've got a recluse in your chart that wants everyone to leave you alone, but you've got this karma and this destiny line that says, look at me, look at me. So it must be a little confusing.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but I've learned to really navigate it well now. So, it's like having other things that I enjoy to do as a Leo, like making sure I'm a racer, and I race jet skis, or I'm a DJ, or then I pull out of astrology for a little bit or something. So for me, I need to pull out,
If you had to describe, and I want to show your chart if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I do that. If you had to describe your purpose, because you've got these 2 yads in your chart, as you probably know. And
technically 3 if you add Chiron with the North Node.
I never include, I only work with planets when I talk about.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
Yes, but let's just look here. I found it so fascinating that you have one of the yads points to your moon up here on the midheaven in Taurus. So do you make music?
Yeah, I do. Actually, the set that's behind you right now we did spiritual dance music last night. So
that's so perfect, spiritual dance. And then the other one points to Neptune.
I know, yeah. And
I wondered how you experienced it. So in the 5th house, so that's also musical or otherworldly. How would you describe it, or could you?
Yeah, I could totally describe it. I feel like both those yads are very intense placements for me, because what they do is they keep me really focused. The moon one is very rare, of course, as you know, because of course it's moving so fast. So it was just like, if that moon would have just gone into Gemini a couple hours later, it really wouldn't have been a yod, right? So the fact that it was like, that one's the most rare to me in the 10th house, Taurus, like
on the midheaven.
It's like, no matter what I'm doing in my life, that's first, my work, my purpose, my whole like needing to help the world. And no matter how uncomfortable it is, I do it anyway. It's like, so comfort is not an option this life for me, The
sun squaring Saturn. Yes. You're going to work no matter what.
Yeah, and then that Neptune one to me is, and especially if you kind of add Jupiter in there, is like I have these magic, huge, major visions of how to make spirituality full of love and positivity, and I think that the yods are weird because I'm able to like bring, and it's like you're a comedian, so you get it. Like comedians, we think about things that are so weird and off that make no sense, but we bring them together. And I feel like that's how the yods are, is they're bringing all these energies that you wouldn't normally put together, like a DJ with astrology or a jet ski racer and astrology, you know, like, so it's me like a magician kind of playing with magical spells, video, with Neptune, of course, media, you know, my moon in Taurus, you know, like you think I'm just a pompous asshole who just, you know, drives his Corvette and wears expensive clothes, but really like it's a secret agent that is for the light, you know?
That's right. It's so funny. A secret agent. So Jupiter conjunct Neptune, adding to that, I love how you said it, bringing in these crazy, random, abstract connections, but grounding it all in the 10th house in a very practical way that has to do with music and providing stability for people. That's what I found interesting looking at your chart is you are an anchor, even though you're crazy because you've got all this 12th house Leo shit on, and Jupiter conjunct Neptune, so wild. You've got this anchor. The whole chart focuses for me on the midheaven with that very solid mood that says, I'm going to provide stability for all of you. And even if I don't want to, says Saturn square the sun, I'm going to be disciplined enough to never give up my mission. So you're mission driven. That would be the short answer, yes?
Yes, 100%.
And if you had to say how that came to you, like what was your first clue that mission was driving you or that your purpose was being affected by that yod? How would you say it first?
You know, my first baseball team was like, I want to be the captain. Or, you know, in school, I want to be the best for the teacher. I would raise my hand all the time to read. And I would always be so like, gosh, these kids can't read. I'll read it, you know? It was like little things like going like, I want to be the best. I want to be student of the month. You know, and then it finally got to a place where reality television was really hot in the 2000s. And so for me, even though I was spiritually awake and practicing astrology and practicing tarot, I was more kind of Leo obsessed with being a television star. So it was like, oh man, I get to go on big auditions like and make it happen and get on the show and be on the show and make a crazy ruckus of the show and get, you know, famous. It was like this whole obsession with fame for a long time.
Oh, Leo, right. So first it started with your ego.
Yeah.
And then was there a spiritual awakening? Did it transition to a different conversation?
Yeah. So in 2009 and 10, which was an interesting time, as Jupiter, I don't know if you remember, and Uranus were conjuncting in Pisces at the end of Pisces. And then they were moving into Aries together. It was an interesting moment in my life where I got on this huge show on ABC called True Beauty. My ego got thrown out on television and the whole entire world just made fun of me. So when my ego got made fun of, like I was an astrologer and I acted like an asshole, you know, on the show, it literally humbled me so much that I realized this isn't my mission. Like this isn't going to work. That's not the road. So I literally humbly kind of like had to wag my tail, like, or, you know, my tail went down. It was also the same year that Mars went retrograde in Leo too, in my 12th house. So it was a very like, oh no, this isn't the mission. So then I humbly just started with doing YouTube videos and speaking from my real heart. I like had to like erase this, like, oh, this is the way I need to be and look like. It was empty. It was so empty. And so I had to find like my true, you know, sun 12th house self, which is like my pure self, my who I really am. And that's what came out.
It was through rejection. That's so classical Leo that you learn through rejection. You got failure. Failure is such a teacher for Leo. I hate to say.
I know it is. It, you know, and I think that's because, you know, the 10th house is the ruler for Leo of Taurus, right? And if Taurus feels like its value is not there, and a Leo has that, it's like, oh man, I'm not worth anything in my purpose as a king or a queen. Oh gosh, put me into that Scorpio 4000, throw me in a room and I don't want to see no one, you know? Like, you know how you see the king storming downstairs? Don't talk to me. I've got that big room and it's dark. Ah. And then the Gemini 11th house, right, is all the court, right? The royal court's like, what's wrong with the king and how's it going? You know.
Oh my God, you entertain yourself by the hour. Tell the truth.
Yeah, oh, 100%. That's all I do, yeah. But I'm like you, where I use astrology as the entertainment aspect of it. It's the ultimate character show of all time. It's amazing.
We should do a stand-up comedy act together. Wouldn't that be funny?
Oh, it'd be so funny. It would be so good.
Well, it's so good to hear you say that you've learned about being able to make fun of Leo, because the ego of a Leo at its worst is so arrogant and so captured by its own self that eventually it gets slapped. I hate to say this, but we know this, President Trump is Leo rising with Mars on his ascendant, and he's so Leo, but eventually the rejection, and that's what he suffers from, the rejection of everyone not liking you finally puts you on your knees.
It does.
And then what happened? But I feel like something spiritual happened to you. Why do I feel like that?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to be very blunt. I don't have it any other way in my body or soul, but like I was a very big Timothy Leary, Terence McKenna, fan.
I knew him.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I worked with him. He was amazing. But keep going. Don't
He was a double Scorpio, by the way. He was
smart. Hello.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So anyway, I went through the whole, let's say, hallucinogen phase of my life.
Neptune conjunct Jupiter. Of course you did.
And that was my big spiritual awakening. It was when I was right when Pluto was on my Neptune, you know. I saw everything. I got it. It was like all the astrology I'd been practicing, all the tarot. I just finally got it.
How old were you?
That was 21.
Yes, that's your first Saturn square Saturn. In our system, Saturn square Saturn at 21 is the entrance of destiny.
Yeah. So that was it. And then I didn't really need the hallucinogens after I saw it all. You know what I mean? I did my couple years of it and partying and all that. And I was like, you know what? I don't need that. And that was the quest towards just,
wow.
You know, typical guys, right? And it's more than just Leo. It's typical guys go, love is only through a relationship through a woman, you know? I was that way until I realized that love could be with everybody and everything and the world and the universe. And that was the big shifting for me, is realizing love was more than a girlfriend, you know?
See, that's your yod pointing to moon in Taurus on the midheaven, is that you're role modeling for us the stability and the love affair with spirit. Because that's what I feel. Like you dance and you dress up in these little outfits, and we can put that little hairdo on you, and we can make you stand up and do comedy or whatever it is. But there's a deeper calling that's driving you. Yeah,
and that's why I use secret agent is because I feel like in the world today, I don't want to say that there's lost people, because I actually have so much faith in all of the people of the world. But I feel like that there is a force out there that is manipulating the world through the media and all this stuff to be a certain way. And so the spiritual community, it's kind of hard to reach a lot of people because it's so opposite, right? So I feel like as a secret agent, I don't want to call myself a trickster, but I am very mercurial with North Node and Gemini and all this stuff. I find a way to people think I'm this shallow thing. And so it easily enters in to see it, but then I drop the bombs on them of knowledge.
Scorpio.
Yeah. So
to the depth. So that's so interesting. So you went to that awakening at 21, kind of had that. And I really believe that altered states, when used properly,
yes,
they become the doorway. And this was what Terence McKenna taught me. He said that there was a time in our evolution of a consciousness of humans that they started to consume psilocybin as farmers way back in early times. And when they would consume those mushrooms, it opened up doors and it evolved consciousness. And he really said, I thought it was amazing that consciousness evolved through the ingestion of psilocybin. Did you know that?
Yeah. I watched all of his work that I could possibly soak up. I probably watched every
Okay, so
lecture
let's
he's
tell you the story. You're
done.
going to love this story. So I'm with Terence Mckenna. I get invited. That was the wrong thing to do, Chris. I get invited on to, hold on a minute. I'm just going to mute
Yeah.
you. Okay, back to it. So let's see. Terence Mckenna. I'm in the Big Island. I get invited to a small group of people to go to a Frank Lloyd Wright authentic house where Terence Mckenna is going to teach for a week. And I don't know that they're all tripping and high. I'm too innocent. I'm too young. But I sit with him for 5 days listening to him talk. And I'm totally captured by this double Scorpio Virgo who is so intellectually stimulating. What I didn't know is that every morning he got up and he was getting high. So one morning I got up and I walked outside and I was like, Terence, why? Oh, I was standing next to him when they were all getting, I was like, I get it. And then I just altered my Neptune because I've got Neptune on my ascendant, tracking, and the level of his consciousness was so advanced that, you know, that he ended up dying of a brain tumor.
Yeah, I know. And I always thought about that. I felt so bad for him, but he was so intellectually / spiritual at the same time. It was insane. Like his conversations and his level of thinking was just, wow.
Jupiter conjunct Neptune, you're displaying your chart. So anyone interested in Terence Mckenna, Food for the Gods, it is the simple premise that there's an alternate Neptunian here. Welcome to the Leo King. This is why he's deeper than he looks. There's an alternative reality that is informing us and tracking us that we don't see. And while you might think it's dead people or it's psychics, it's also a matrix where there is a light force in contrast to the dark force, and there's a war going on between the visible light bearers, and back at the ranch, there's this interference, as you've been feeling. I think you get attacked, by the way.
I used to get really attacked hard, and then I had to learn ways to protect myself, which was my Saturn return in Scorpio. That was the scariest part of my life, was my Saturn return.
What happened?
Imagine being a double Leo and you're like, yay, life's just grand and great. Yeah. And then Saturn finally returns to Scorpio for the first time in your life. And it's just dark and you see the demons, you know? And for me, it was crippling anxiety, panic disorder. I became a recluse. Like I had agoraphobia. It was really bad.
12th house. This is classical. So you got inundated with the dark forces and didn't know how to navigate.
Yeah. And that was when I knew I was being attacked all the time and I didn't have any way to know. I didn't know how to deal with it.
And so how do you deal with it now, Mr. Leo?
One is, spiritually, every day I do a cleanse in the shower. I know it sounds so stupid with cold water.
No, it's so true.
Okay, so every day I put the shower on full cold for 2 minutes and I do a major prayer. I create my own holy water where I literally bless my holy water and I carry holy water around with me. I do major, like when I feel I know the feeling now of the presence. When it comes, I literally go, sorry, ain't gonna happen today, you know, and I know how to now push it away from me. But it took years. It took crippling, and it taught me that I need to learn to ask for help. So in those moments, I had to learn to like ask for help. I actually went the Western medicine route and through psychology and did therapy and stuff like that to help me like get through it all. And then I did my own spiritual work with other practitioners and stuff to deal with how to protect myself. So it was kind of a unified.
So this is
thing.
a classical case. It's so great to look at your chart. This is a classical case of Scorpio and Leo, and that the conflict was, let me get back to your chart, that the conflict was you had to go deep into Scorpio land to be authentically in your, here we go, to go deep into your Scorpio land. So this is the essence of all this Leo, 3 planets in Leo, and then we have Mars and Saturn in Scorpio, and there's this very strong square. So Mars squares your Venus and Saturn squares your Venus. Ouch.
Ouch, but I do have Venus trine Uranus, so that helps.
Oh, goody. That beautiful Venus. Where's Uranus?
9 on Antares and Sag.
Oh, that took care of that. Okay, good. See how that goes?
The South Node is down there too, yeah.
Yes. But that whole conversation about your dealing with the unconscious and having to learn how to deal with the demons, and that is such an essential, that is one of the most, if I had to say spiritually in my life as well, when the light gets bright, we draw bugs.
Yeah.
The bigger the light, and you are such a bright one, in come the bugs. And then suddenly you have to know how to navigate and go, excuse me, you got the wrong girl or the wrong, no. And that cold water is an ancient practice. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Use it in all the Indians. That's what they use in India to clean out their system completely.
Really? Because it was like a natural thing. The only thing that felt naturally, it kind of, got guided there.
Well, you're being guided. So, and the last thing I wanted to ask you about, so the Leo got humbled by the Scorpio. You've got your mission and you're creating all of this amazing magic. And then what do you do to replenish? Because I can see, I wanted to say that about your chart. You were now when you were coming on and you were late and all the things were going wrong, Uranus is squaring your sun. How do you take yourself back to your center?
Well, one is I race jet skis. So that's like, I'm like on the water and it's fun and it's in the sun. I'll be honest with you. I just picked up smoking cigarettes again 8 weeks ago. So right now cigarettes are centering me. I know people might think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm just a blunt true person.
Classical. Everyone that's highly psychic or highly sensitive uses cigarettes to ground. It's addicting, but that's a classical American Indian ritual. Yeah.
So for right now, that's been helping me through this Uranus transit. But usually, to be honest with you, what always fills me up is spreading happiness, making people feel good, doing the work that we do, right? Doing readings, doing the videos. I was just at United Astrology conference and did a 5-week tour and did it around the whole country and met all the fans. It's just like, I fill myself up by just learning to be happy.
Love.
It sucks because it's hard because people in my life, like, they don't get that I like love myself so much. So it's like, like I focus on my own happiness first. I really do.
It's such a great message. So let's give that to the audience. Leo, this month, this whole message is you deserve to be loved. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says. You go on jet skis, I go on an electric bike every day in the sun. Look at me, sun. So if the joy factor's not there, if there's not chi moving, if I'm not being happy, I can't play.
Yeah.
And that's not selfish. That's the misinterpretation of Leo. That's called how to do self-care with flair. Oh, I made it up. How to do self-care with flair. Did I just make that up?
I like that. It's beautiful. It's catchy.
Write it down. Write it down. How to do self-care with flair, said the Leo, which means you are entitled to feel good at, like, dress up, like take out your energy, like show it up, like go fast. Like that's the fun. It's a kid.
It's a kid.
I love being a kid. Even though
I do too. There's no better. I mean, it's like this. I always say every day, like you live, who knows what's going to happen in the next 20 seconds. So just be as best and fun as you can right now, all the time.
And if you have demons or your unconscious is working or you're in Saturn return and it's difficult, you learned it so well. Ask for help.
Yeah.
That's the other Leo. When a Leo learns how to say out loud, I'm not good, I need your help. That is so powerful versus I'm pretending I'm all great and I fluff it all up and I mess it all up and bullshit.
It's true. And I also did a lot of past life regression work through that whole time and went through a lot of dark past life deaths and a lot of war stuff with my Mars and Scorpio, a lot of past life, always in a war. Even in this life, I was in the military. I went through a lot of traumatic, intense, but also like spiritual quest style stuff, or even just questing in war stuff,
Wow. It's the love for life that I see that you have, that Leo has, that no matter what color it shows up with war or with love, there's this intense, you've got such a Scorpio energy. It's this intense desire to say, nothing's going to stop me from opening my heart. Give it to me. And no matter how much I've got to fight for love, that's the distinguishing factor. Not fighting to fight. That's the old ego version. But fighting for love. And
I know. I mean, I was on Tinder with having major panic attacks and agoraphobia and still going on dates and laughing, but having a panic attack in the middle of the whole thing. You know what I mean?
And then you got married, and then you got married, and then you got married.
Yeah, that's another story.
Let's not talk about that.
We don't need to talk about that.
Moving right along. Okay, so here's the deal. For all of you, see, that's the point, though, humility. We have ideas and dreams, and they come and they go. But the most important single thing you can learn from astrology is the sun comes up tomorrow.
It does.
I mean, it's
And
the one constant, and I worship the sun, and I know you do too.
yes,
I
oh
wish
yes.
I could remember what that lifetime was. Like, where did this come from? I'm so in love with the sun.
I know. And well, I don't know whether it's Egyptian times or, you
Do
know,
you remember any of that? Like, how old were you when you first found astrology?
I was going at a library about like 9 years old, and I knew and it was like, you know, I read Leo my birthday, and I was like, that's me.
9 years old. That's what I tell everyone. Those of you that started that young, it was a memory. Same thing happened for
Yeah,
me. In
it
the
was a
Detroit,
library, the public library.
I had it in the Detroit News. A little ad said, "Sign up here for your chart." I couldn't even write. I was in first or second grade, and I went and got my chart. I was like, and then they came in with the wrong. I got the wrong chart, but I didn't know how to send it back because I was too
Oh
little.
no,
But the point of that story is, look how it called you at 9 years old.
I know.
Like it was.
And you just know right away. There was
And
no
all of you and
questions.
your whole following and my whole following, all of you that have been longing and wanting to learn, and you know about my school, we should really talk about that. You can't believe what's going on in the school. These people's lives are changing.
Yeah. No, same with mine. The Leo King Elite that I did, it was insane. I have 140 students, and it just, their whole lives changed. And some of them now are big YouTube astrologers now,
Oh, I love it. Me too. Me too.
you know? So it's been great to watch, you know?
The one
That's
thing
humbling as
we'll
well.
have to connect in real person. And thank you for doing this for us. I really wanted to share. And one thing I love about you that I have is I just share. I don't know why astrologers get so exclusive and they can't share everyone should be studying with everyone.
Exactly. And
But
I
that's
think,
close.
but that was the message. I was just at the United Astrology Conference, and they're all getting it now. Like, you can't go that old way anymore. And there is something really called New Age astrology that is very deeply spiritual. And it's not just programming and psychological only, it is spiritual. And that's where there's a lot of, like, I'll be honest, there's not a lot of spiritual, deep astrologers out there. A lot of it is very surfacey, psychological, you know? And that was what they're all getting. Like, you got to realize, like, with your following alone, your following is bigger than every speaker that was there combined, pretty much. At
They've
the
never
biggest,
invited me. It's so funny. No one's.
I know, I'm neither me. They're afraid of this new astrology and the power of it, because, you know, you got to do deep spiritual work with it, you know, and you got to go through the crap, but you ascend so high, and it's deep, you know, it's deep. And
But the Saturn and Mars and Scorpio. I have Scorpio Sun in the 8th house, so I'm with you. So
yeah.
thank you. That's so good for me to hear, because I've been so isolated in my practice. When I went to the first astrology conference back in the 80s, I was like, I can't do this. Like, no one was talking human to human. They were all, it was just too uncomfortable to me. So all this time, here it is, fast forward 40 years, and I've never gone to one of the conferences.
Yeah, you're not really missing out. But for me, I think I go to just.
But I'd love to. No, I'm at the point now where I'd love to share and be able to, you know. I mean, if they ever invited me, I would go in a minute.
Well, they didn't invite me. I just went and built a trade booth, and then set up all my cameras and did live streams and interviewed all my favorite astrologers, because there's some there that I really do enjoy, and that's what I did.
Really? You just went in there by yourself and didn't even speak? You just had
And then I went and did my own show right across the street and rented the building and had my own show, and a bunch of people came from the conference and watched me across the street from my own conference.
I love that story. Well, when and if you ever do it again, I'd love to do it with you. Like that's the whole message, is for us to be able to share the stage and be able to that's what I'm thinking astrology.
That's what it is. But I have visions of the future in all this Aquarius stuff coming in the 2020s, of like, it's not like Burning Man. It's going to be different. It's going to be more even integrated. And we're talking about sharing the stage and people really coming together and raising consciousness together out in open spaces and with new technology and lighting. And I'm getting goosebumps because I feel it. And we're all going to be rising so high. It's going to be insane.
I'm so glad you said that. Yes, and I can feel it happening. And I've created so many astrologers in my community. You know, we're in thousands now. So just to say out loud, celebrating your work and my work and the entrance of the Aquarian age, because we're here. That's what you and I are doing. We're giving voice.
There's only a couple people doing it this way, and it's just,
I know. Well, I'm so
good
glad
to
you
share it with people like you're doing and to teach them, because the traditional astrology crew and the organizations are not teaching that at all. So you're on the right track with what you're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing to you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, we're in Leo. This is Leo King. You guys go watch his channel, listen to him speak. He does these forecasts. You get to hear another angle from mine. And it's so important we mix it all up, because the sky's the limit.
Although we're very similar, so.
But we go deep, yes.
Yeah, we go deep and with fun and with depth and with truth and hitting hard.
Terence Mckenna is one of our similar mentors. Terence was definitely
I know. I wish I would have got to meet him.
Yeah, what a soul. Yeah.
I know.
Doing readings for the whole team there, and I remember watching, because I have so much Scorpio in me, my North Node, and I just kept watching everyone, and I tracked the whole thing. At the end, I pulled him aside and I said, Terence, I think you're a mushroom in disguise. Like, he's not really a human.
He was a sun in the 12th house too, I think, right?
That's exactly right.
He's like me, just I'm the Leo version of it. Yeah, our charts wise.
I'm 8th house, so I'm giving just voice to all the psychological stuff. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm glad I got to meet you and talk to you.
I know. Great. I look so forward to one day doing something in person. We'll do that.
Hey, anytime.
Okay. Lots of love to you. Aloha.